Hey everybody, it's your girl DJ with Plan for Keeps podcast, and today I have a special guest. Her name is Goddess Legend. She is a journey coach, podcaster, and author of the book The Journey of a Soul Sister, with a podcast with the same exact name. Today she is here to speak on not settling and knowing who you are before getting into a relationship. How are you today?
I am blessed, Queen. How are you?
I am good. Thank you for making time to come on the show.
Oh, thank you for accommodating me, honestly. Thank you.
No, you are good. I'm excited to get into this conversation because I know it is very important for men and women to know themselves before they jump into a relationship. So I'm excited to hear the different things that you have to share. But before we get into all of that, I would love to hear how you became Goddess Legend and the Journey Coach.
It's funny because I was on this app called Clubhouse, right?
Okay.
And at first I was going by I am, right? So I am what I want to
Oh, I
be.
love
My
that.
initials are my two first names. So it made sense to just be like I am. But then when I started like introducing myself and I'm going in all these rooms with all these other people and they're like, oh, your background, your story, oh, you're a legend, you're a legend, you're a legend. So my family from up north, Jersey, Highland, y'all, they was like, no, your name is Legend now. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, my name is Legend. You dare go right. So that's how that happened. And then I always know that I'm a goddess. I know God is in me. So at the end of the day, it just made sense to call me Goddess Legend.
Awesome. Okay. And then how did the Journey Coach, how did that piece come about?
So people always call me, oh my gosh, oh my goodness, for advice. People always asking me different things. I've always helped other people their full potential before I started feeling into myself. Then when I realized that I really can do this and I'm really making a difference in people's lives, I'm like, hey, I need to do this professionally as well. So I do that. And that's how it just happened. I took the classes, got certified, and then that was it.
Got you.
And I
Okay.
like to call it journey coaching instead of life coaching because we're all
Okay.
on a journey.
Got you. Okay. I like that. All right. And how long have you been doing it?
2 years.
2 years now.
2 years on paper, but my whole life actually.
Got you. Okay. Now, thinking of just your 2 years into it on paper, what would you say is probably the most, probably the biggest issues people come with when it comes to relationships?
um, did they have to make someone else happy? Unrealistic expectations, and what they really want. Is it society wants, or is it what you really want?
Got you. And
So
how do you help people peel back those layers?
So we kind of just start like where you are now
Okay.
and then a little bit about your past. So I just ask a lot of questions like, okay, for example, my mate should be doing XYZ. Are you willing to do those XYZ? And why do you feel like they should do that? Is it something that you saw, or is it something you would desire or you're accustomed to having? And then we just pull back the layers on that, and then we just keep going and growing from there. And I'd be like, yeah, so is it a society issue, your issue, or a history issue for your family?
I like that. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. All right. Now, you say you basically should not settle and knowing yourself before jumping into a relationship. What does not settling look like?
Okay, so it can mean look like many different things, honestly. But I know people are not going to agree with this, but I don't care. I don't believe in compromise, and the reason why I
Okay.
say compromise is the true definition of compromise. I mean, you're sacrificing something for yourself. I'm not saying that you cannot change and grow with your mate, but I'm not going to sacrifice something that makes me happy and make me me. So when I tell people don't settle just because you feel like you're 35 and older and you've never been married, but you should settle for this guy that does not meet the criteria and you guys are not equally yoked, but because he's available and out of loneliness, you decide to settle. Absolutely not. You know that he is an abuser on some type of way, but he fits the mold of a great man. You want to be with a guy, but you know that he doesn't want to commit to you, but you want to be committed in a fully relationship. Why do that? Do not settle for that if that's not what you want. You're going to miss up on a guy. You know how many guys is out here? Don't listen to that
Right.
statistic stereotype thing. There is someone out there for you. So that's what I mean when I say don't settle.
Okay. Got you. And then when you're working with someone, or if you if you have worked with a woman, how do you help them get to the point of not settling? Because I think, with statistics they talk about, there's, what is it? Is it way more men than women? And I think too, just for a lot of us, just based on how we were brought up and things like that, we know we want one thing, but then from what we know, we tend to go with the relationships that don't fulfill us. I'm trying to make sure I'm making sense.
You make it perfect.
Okay, how do you how do you help someone peel back the layers to not compromise, to not settle when they're so used to seeing like trauma-based stuff? And then go ahead. I'm sorry.
Self-work. So not to cut you, that's self-work right there.
Yeah.
You're programmed to, like you said, you are programmed to believe you are trauma-based. So now we need to pull back the layers to that before you get into a relationship, honey. And then I would tell you to also, let's be a serial dater. Because how do you know what you really like if you're not out here experiencing it? I ain't saying sleeping with everybody. I said serial dates. Pull back those layers and ask those uncomfortable conversations. And if a guy's asking you, oh, hey, is this a interview? You damn right it's an interview. So with that being said, we do self-work first. That's number one. Number one, like, why are you so pressured to have this type of man? Like, psychologically, that's what's going on. It has nothing to do with everyone else. It's a psychological problem. So when you decide to not do the shadow work and pull back those layers, of course you're going to be like, society says I should do this.
Right.
And it necessarily doesn't mean that. And then you also have to understand I'm very spiritual. So I make it clear to my clients, whoever, I don't know who you pray to, I'm cool, I respect that. However, it could be just this time in your life that you're not even meant to be with someone. You're supposed to be doing something else. And maybe you need to learn these lessons first before you can even have someone, or you may not have someone. But you have to be comfortable with that within yourself. And I think when you're more, and I think I know, when you're more comfortable with self, things will come. I do believe that every man and every woman needs somebody. However, it may not just be your time.
I agree with that tenfold. Shadow work. Can you dive into what shadow work is? I've heard so many different coaches give different definitions of shadow work and what it means to them.
Yeah, shadow work is very ugly. It's not pretty.
Yeah.
It is going there into your subconscious and really pulling back layers that you don't like about yourself. Honestly, and the things that you don't like, and you got to face it, and you have to sit alone with it. Someone can kind of guide you, but you really got to do it yourself. So when I say shadow work, I'll say for me, I had like low self-esteem for a while, and I just didn't believe. I was like, ain't no way. But when I had to like really pull back the curtains and realize why I had low self-esteem, I was like, oh man, that was all bullshit.
Now, do you mind sharing? No, you're okay. It's okay to curse here. I follow the lead of my guest, so now I know you cursed. I'm probably going to curse too now. So it's all good. Now, do you mind peeling back the layers of what low self-esteem look like for you? You're a beautiful woman, so this is why
thank you.
You are. So I would just love to hear what your journey looked like for you, just a snippet of it, and what did low self-esteem, what is that to you? Or what was that for you? Yeah.
Okay, so for me, it was more layers, not even just a physical look. It was also a mental and an emotional look. When I was younger, I grew up in a very abusive child home, and also in a segregated area. And I didn't have too many black friends when I was in elementary. When I moved to middle and into the city, it was a cultural shock. But again, I didn't fit in because I was too light. I didn't fit in with black girls. I didn't fit in with white girls. It was a lot going on. You're not pretty. I've been called everything you can name underneath the sun. I was a skinny little toothpick. I ain't had no boobs, still ain't got none, but it's okay. Things like that. I make up for it in the bag, I guess. And I was in a relationship. I started having kids young. And when I was with this guy, the person I was with for 11 and a half years that I told you about, he used to always tell me nobody would want me. You have all these kids. You're not that pretty. You don't have anything going for yourself, your personality. So after dealing with what you deal with as a kid, being teased, and then getting into a relationship where you think this is love, so you also end up settling, and so the abuse, the mental and emotional abuse comes in, and he's telling you you're feeling worthless. You have all of these kids, like ain't no man gonna want you, and he really said that, and I really believed it. So it
Yeah.
took me a while to build my confidence and realize I'm really dope. Like, I'm me.
Yeah, you are definitely that girl.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So just going into that relationship and that situation, because there's so many women who are in predicaments like that. Me myself, I also was in a similar predicament, and then even for me as a teenager, I went through a really abusive relationship, like a physically abusive relationship, due to what I saw in my household.
Same.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about what were your kind of your steps to get out of that situation.
You got to grow tired first. I'm
Okay.
gonna be honest. People can tell you all day long it's wrong. Sometimes you can hide it from your family because you don't want people to see it, but you got to grow tired first. And it was a back and forth, off and on together. You know how they say, I hate to use them as an example, but they're hot topic now, and I'm learning to pay attention to social media, whatever. Krishan, what's her name? Krishan and Blueface?
And yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Okay. That was me in my relationship. That was both
Wow.
of us. And
Wow.
I thought if I was fighting him back, it would be okay. Right? So I
Mm.
had to grow tired of getting my ass whipped, excuse my language,
Yeah.
or whipping his ass and what afraid of what I would do to him. Not afraid of him, but what I'm capable of doing. And you have kids that are
Right.
seeing this. So you had to grow tired first. I had to grow tired first. And I had to believe that there's a way out. So if someone tells you it's not a way out, it is. It's harder because you have kids, but sometimes you just gotta leave. You just have to. It don't even matter. Sleep in your car, go to a shelter, do what
Yeah.
you need to do. You're gonna have to uproot your whole entire life, and that's scary for people because change is very scary. When you're comfortable and this is what you're used to, why break the mold? But be the example. So
Yeah.
instead of looking for someone else to rescue you, you have to rescue yourself. So honestly, I'll say you have to be tired first, and that was the first step.
Got you. Okay, so that was the first step, being tired. Did the shadow work come in while you still were in the relationship, you would say, or after you got
I
tired
would
and then left?
say in the it was kind I was searching for, like, am I still a Christian? Am I in church? Am I getting back to God? What am I doing? What makes sense? And that's when it just started. Me and him wasn't seeing eye to eye. I didn't want to live the way we were living anymore. And the things that we used to be accustomed to, I was no longer accustomed to those things anymore. And
Mm,
that's when we were at odds with each other. And then I became more of the aggressor towards the end of the relationship. And I didn't like who I was at that time. So, yes.
got you. Wow. Wow. Okay. Um,
It's
there's
okay.
so much there to get you becoming the aggressor. So was it just basically because you didn't like you didn't like the
I didn't
relationship
like him.
anymore?
I didn't like him. I didn't like the
Mm,
relationship. I was unhappy. He proposed to me on my birthday. He told me he invited my pastor at the time, some old friends, and we were out in public. I was going to say no, but I know how he would react. He would have banged me at that table in front of everybody. He wouldn't have cared. That's how violent our relationship was.
got you.
I said yes, and then when we got home, I said, "Why did you propose to me? We ain't even in a good space." And he said, "I don't know how else to keep you. You won't get pregnant anymore. I don't know why you can't get pregnant because I snuck a guy on birth control, of course, because I wanted
Mm,
more from him." And he was like, "I don't know why you ain't getting pregnant, and I guess I should
wow.
just marry you." And when he said that, I was like, "I don't want this." So, and it turned into a whole altercation on my birthday. A whole altercation, and I was so angry, and I was just like, I hate you, and I didn't like how I was feeling. So that's pretty much how I was. We slept in two different rooms. He was doing him, and one day he came in late. I said, "At least you could tell a girl," this is my exact words, "that you got to take your kids to school in the morning because I got to go to work and you working nights. I don't care who you fucking." So it got to the point where I didn't
Wow.
care. And then that last time, he was like, "Oh, you trying to down me?" Because I told him I made more money. It was a long story, girl. And basically, he ended up about to leave. So when he left, he cleared out my bank account. He took things
Wow.
from the house. It was really, really bad, but I did not care. I didn't have anything. I was flat broke. He's even messed up things that I'm still working on and fixing now in the future, currently. But it is okay because I'm black. I still have my life. I'm not in
Yes.
jail, and I'm healthy.
That's no, that is a blessing. Now, I want to circle back just a little bit.
Sure,
So,
go ahead.
um, when you think about your relationships before him and how he kind of entered into your life, what do you think attracted you to him and then him to you? Like when you think about it all, like on a deeper level, like you say, you've done shadow work, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
What do you think it was?
Trauma bonding. It was really trauma bonding. He was fine. I ain't gonna lie. Fine girl, fine. We both was. I'm from Baltimore,
Okay.
and the struggle is real. When they tell you the struggle is real, it's real. He had mommy issues. I had mommy issues. My father could not be in our life at the time. He could not be around his. Not proud of it. I used to sell drugs, and so did he. So when we met, it was what it was. He was a little bit older than me. Off the porch, he was like, "You ain't gotta be out here. I'm gonna take care of you." Yada yada yada. And I'm thinking it's cute. Like, oh, I gotta be a drug. Oh, he gotta do. I ain't gotta be out here hustling, Da, da, da. And he did do everything he said he was going to do financially.
Yeah.
So that wasn't an issue. But as time started to grow, little possessive things, narcissism started to kick in. You get me pregnant. You actually kind of made me feel bad because I already had a son. You wanted me like, oh, if you really love me, prove to me that you love me and give me a baby. And I'm like, well, I already got one.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like, I do love you. All right. And I end up doing it. And I speak about that in my book as well. So saying being in love with a narcissist. And it was real. And I just was like, fuck it.
Oh my gosh. Okay, got you. Now that's good. I'm glad you brought up the trauma bonding and how two people can bond together and it feels so strong and the chemistry can be just lit. But at the end of the day, when you look at the background of both parties, not saying that two people can't come together from similar backgrounds that may have had trouble in it, but if you aren't where you're supposed to be as far as like growth and stuff, it could just be a strong trauma bond.
Yep.
And I think a lot of people experience that as well.
Of course, because it's familiar. And for our culture, for our people, this has been passed down over and over and over again. And so us, it looks like it's reality, right?
Right.
You're like, oh, this is normal. And you get sucked into, especially for women and men, but I'll say women because I'm a woman.
Yeah.
I'll say, girl, he taking care of the bills. He doing this, he doing that. You'll be fine. Just keep on messing with him. It's all right. Don't worry about it. You hear those things because they feel like you got a man. So take
Yeah.
it. So it's just stuff that we've been programmed to believe. That's all. And if you're not in the right headspace and you're not better and you set healthy boundaries and know what you want, then of course you're going to think this is lit. I ain't going to lie. We had some good times, but we had some crazy ass times as well.
I bet. Okay. So coming from just everything that you came from, everything that you've been through, how did you learn to set boundaries? And is that something you still struggle with? Because I know for me personally, that's something I still struggle with. Where are you on that journey?
Oh, so I still struggle with certain boundaries.
Okay.
To be honest, especially for people who've been really close to me. Strangers, I don't have any problem setting boundaries for.
Me too.
Family was always the issue, or if I knew you for a certain amount of years, I've accepted your behavior and never put a boundary down. So now I do put them down, and then trust me, I don't believe in circles, so people who are close to me is not as close to me anymore, and I had to make peace with those relationships. So yes, I still struggle because you don't want to end something because you love people. These people play an important part in your life, and some of them are even your biological family. But if it is not good for you emotionally and mentally, then you just gotta let it go. Trust me, be at more peace and more happy.
Absolutely. So, a tip you can give, because like I said, I know that's something strangers, like you said, no, I don't have issues putting down boundaries, but people you've known for a long time, you put down the boundary and then they'll push a little bit to try to see if they can cross that boundary. I've gotten better, but I still struggle depending on the person. Do you have a tip or something, or you just automatically, like you said, you don't believe in circles, and based on that, you were able to just set that boundary strong, and that was it?
So the tip that I would give you is on everything that you were taught to believe about the person or just because they're family, are they really family? The thing is this, they're relatives because they're by blood, but we choose our own family. And for people who love you, will respect your boundaries. Those who have problems with those do not respect you as an individual. So do I care mostly who respects me and who's going to make me happy? Ask yourself, is this going to affect my day-to-day? Is this going to mess up my mental? Because at the same time, no one else can live for you but you. So that's what I do, and that's how I look at it. And I'd be like, all right, whatever, you'll get over it.
Got you. Okay, I like that. All right, so tell us a little bit about your book. How did that come about? Why did you decide to write a book?
Oh, goodness. I decided to write a book because I've always been a person to know that everyone is on a journey. I've been through so much, and when I tell people certain things, they're like, "What? Ain't no way!" There's no way in hell you've been through that, and you still smiling and you all happy and things like that. I was like, "Yeah, I can write this out. I could definitely tell people that I can help others." That was my main goal. The real reason was to be strong enough to speak about it because I've been taught whatever goes on in the house stays in the house. Whatever happens to
Mm,
you, us as women, we should just carry it on our load. And I just knew all of this was a lie. Like, how dare you tell me not to share this with others? Why do I have to feel alone and be ashamed of things that happen? So it was very therapeutic to me. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to do it. And I just started. And that's what I
that is
did.
dope. That is dope. Okay. I have a segment in my podcast where I ask certain questions to my guests. So, my first one for you, since you are a coach, and now I have some blank and blank questions as well. But my first one is you are an amazing coach because.
Because I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not
Okay.
going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what you need to hear.
Okay. My ex taught me blank, and I apply it in my relationships today.
He told me never to outfox. You can't outfox a fox. I apply that every day to my life to also know that I'm not going to settle.
Okay. When making a decision on choosing a partner, one must consider blank, then blank.
Where they are spiritually, if you are part of that, that's one. And where they are mentally and emotionally.
Awesome. Okay. Childhood trauma is more blank than blank.
Childhood trauma is more visual, like passed down, seen, than something that's just genetic.
Okay. Um, what is your favorite romantic movie and why?
It's so funny. It's called The King and I.
Oh, tell me
It
about
is
that one.
a Robert and Hammerstein sing along. I love musicals, and it's just how two different people come together and they sing, and he's a king, and she wins his heart. It's crazy.
And why would you? Why is that your favorite?
Because he was so hard up and he thought that you could tame the beast in someone. So for me, I'm always known as the aggressor. And if someone else can tame the beast in me and make me so I can be more feminine and given to that, then I just think it's a beautiful story. And it doesn't have to be in a negative way either. You just appeal to other things in me, mentally and emotionally, that I'm not comfortable enough to share on a day-to-day basis with anyone
That's really interesting. That's really interesting. Now, when you think about your childhood and all the things that happen in your life, because I think I want to make sure I heard you right. You basically said were you kind of going to, like, you operate more in your masculine than your feminine? Is that what you were saying? Like you
else.
being
Yes, I
aggressive?
do.
Okay, so when you think about just your past, what would you say contributed to that?
Growing up in the abusive child home with my father, he didn't
Okay.
have any sons at the time, and we were the only girls. And he would do things to make you understand that you're not weak, basically.
Okay.
And I just had to deal with that. And then when I did show signs of feminine, people took advantage of that, and I gave it to people who didn't deserve it. So it doesn't mean that I cannot operate in that space. I would love to operate in that space so much more, but being in this industry, also making a name for yourself, there is not a lot of room to be operating so much in that space, in your feminine space.
Got you. Because then my next question was going to be, what ways do you mentally try to operate in that space now?
Okay, so I reevaluate situations,
Okay.
and I look at it. I'm more of a logical thinker than anything ever in my life, so that's automatically masculine, right? Because I
Yeah.
can say because I'm not
What they
making
say.
emotional decisions. Making emotional decisions, trust me, they ain't always right because they always end up bad for me, and I know that about myself, right? Exactly. So if you know that about yourself, you gotta reevaluate the situation. Okay, is this cause for me to act this way, or should I just sit back and listen? So that's how I am. And when it's more of a comfortable space where I know I can show my feminine that I am this, then that's when I do it. So it's all about
Right.
reevaluating the situation. I'm not even gonna lie.
Got you. Okay. Now, I'm gonna ask, this is my last question for you,
Okay.
at a segment. When going back to childhood again, how do you feel your life would be different if your emotional needs were met as a child?
Oh goodness, I probably cry every day, maybe. Um, if they were meant, my life, I would better understood what love was
Okay.
instead of thinking what it was. I would already know if my emotional things were said. I don't think I would have went through. And I think I know I wouldn't have went through low self esteem because when someone feeds you emotional, that boosts your self esteem.
It
So
does.
yes, I would definitely believe that that would have been.
Awesome. Okay. So thank you for going through that. Now, where can the audience find you?
Everywhere. They can find me on all streaming platforms underneath Anything Goes Podcast Production Company. And anything is spelled Anytha with one G. NG. So that I'll give it to you, give that information. You can look me on Instagram. I'm on there. You can also find me underneath the Journey of the Soul Sister and Anything Goes Podcast Production page on there. I'm everywhere. YouTube, I'm everywhere.
And I actually do have all of your links, and all of
Okay.
them will be provided in the show notes. Legend Goddess, I want to thank you for coming on. Thank you for your
Oh, you're
time. Or Goddess
welcome.
Legend, excuse me.
It's okay.
Thank you for making time to come on the show. I greatly appreciate it.
No, thank you for having me. And once again, just keep doing what you're doing no matter how you're feeling and what's happening. You have a wonderful show. That's why I was interested in even being on.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Thank you.
You are
Uh,
more than welcome.
all right, guys. Well, until next time.